The most common question in any language from a child starts with how or why. All children are curious. They want to know how things taste. They want to know why they can't do things that they have seen others do. They want to know how, and they want to know why, and they want to know it right now. If you could ask youngsters to think about adults, they would wonder, how come adults don't remember what it's like to be a child? They were once children, so why did they forget what it's like to be me? Someone, somewhere, helped most adults to forget how to question things like a child does. That's on the list of bad things. Fortunately for us, about 1,000 years ago, a fellow by the name of Ibn al-Haytham never met the person who helps other people forget what it's like to be a child. Or perhaps Ibn was smart enough to ignore the person whose job it was to help him learn how to be an adult. And this is on the list of good things. Ibn invented a process for questioning things. He invented a way that encouraged curiosity. Ibn was a genius. Most people wrongly believe that a person who knows a great many facts is a genius, but that's not true. A genius is someone who can create a new idea where there was not one. In other words, a genius can take facts that he or she has learned and poofta, create a whole new concept. A few important ones throughout history have been: first, someone invented words so that an idea could be put into another person's head.
Hey, that's mine.
Second, another person invented symbols so that the ideas could be put into another person's head long after the symbols had been written or carved into something. Third, then someone got an even better idea and invented the alphabet so that each word could be written with just a few squiggly little lines. Think about it. With just a few squiggly lines, you can write a complex idea on a sheet of paper. And long after you are gone, someone else, who's not even born yet, can know what you were thinking. The most complex idea can be summarized in a book that is just a few hundred pages, and this book is just words on paper that are made up of paragraphs, that are made up of sentences, that are made up of words, that are made up of a few squiggly lines that you learned when you were in elementary school or before. The most complex thing in the known universe is just a bunch of simple parts. And the more simple little parts that you know, the more that you can do with them. But back to Ibn and what he started. Ibn invented what we call the scientific method. He didn't call it that. The word science wouldn't be invented for hundreds of years, but the concept, the idea of science, it was already there. Ibn wrote his ideas so that we can know what he was thinking way back then. He said it all starts with an observation, and that's just what today's lesson is about. You know, you see something and it sparks some curiosity in you, and then you wonder, how did that happen? The mighty oak tree sleeps in the acorn. The proud eagle sleeps in the egg. The dainty butterfly sleeps in the chrysalis. But when one breaks open the acorn, egg, or chrysalis, one does not find the tree, the eagle, or the butterfly. How does that happen? Ibn said after the phenomenon is observed, to think about it. Ask about it. See what others know. Listen. Really listen. Research it, in other words. Then formulate a hypothesis. We'll talk about that later. Then test the hypothesis. Then draw a conclusion, and we'll talk about this later. Finally, share what you know with those whom it concerns. Today, our focus will be on the first step, making the observation. When Richard and Joan Feynman were in elementary school, they played a game with each other as they walked to school. One would stop, say, "Notice something," and the other would have to look around, notice something, and come up with a reasonable explanation as to what it was. Then the two would start walking again, and soon the other Feynman would stop, say, "Notice something," and the game was again afoot. This is what we will do today. Find someone in the class whom you do not know well, if at all, Introduce yourself and go for a walk. Each of you is to notice at least 2 things and come up with a reasonable explanation as to what the thing or phenomena is or was. Take about 10 minutes, make your observation, return to the class if you left the class, write up each of your observations, that is, describe what you noticed, and write what you thought that it might be. Put all of this in an email and send it to Colonel Alan M. Morris at gmail.com by midnight tonight. Soon, if not before, we will take a look at the other steps in what we call the scientific method, and we will take a look at some of the developments to the process and method through the past 50 generations of natural philosophers. Perhaps the next development or improvement to the scientific method will be made by you. Out there somewhere, something or someone really incredible is just waiting to be discovered. Perhaps by you.